Today's conversation is about one of my favorite topics and a value that is literally one of the pillars here at Nickels and Swade. Optimism. I love optimism. I say it all the time. I'm optimistic. That is like I hear come out of my mouth constantly. Only today we'll be diving into a form of optimism, a buzzword you probably heard a lot near the end of 2020, which is silver linings. It is also the name of our most recent collection at Nickels and Swade, and today we're going to dig in on silver linings, what they are, what that means, how to find them, and more. Welcome to the podcast with Kilee Nickels. I made the unlikely transition from stay-at-home mom to CEO of a multi-million-dollar leading fashion brand. At Nickels and Swade, we empower the everyday woman to step into her story more boldly, one life-changing accessory at a time. The goal of this podcast is to inspire you through both my story and the stories of other powerhouse women to take that first step towards living the best version of your life. So grab a notebook, grab a pen, and get ready to get started with Kilee Nickels. Hey everybody, happy Friday. Glad to be back with you and excited to dig in today on optimism and all things that are happy and positive. I know 2021 has started off a little rocky. I think we were all expecting a little bit falsely that starting a new year would reset the entire world. And unfortunately, it does not work that way. But that's okay. I still think having a new year has a lot of hope and offers a lot for us to reset ourselves and the sphere of influence we do have. So I definitely would encourage you not to feel like, despite maybe recent events, that 2021 is lost and it's a lost cause and we're just going to move on to 2022. There's still plenty of the year left. And so I am still ready to dig in and work hard and make the most of it. And I hope you are too. So, like I said, January is just another month. The days of the week are still days of the week. I think the time still moves on. And so I think there is still power in talking about the silver linings that we can find in our day-to-day life. So last year was a really interesting, difficult year for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. You could say there were a lot of rainstorms, a lot of clouds, and really, when you're in constant cloud cover, you kind of do have to look for the silver linings. I remember when we were in Seattle and there was this constant cloud cover, I remember getting headaches and feeling like you would look outside every day. And whether you're looking outside at 10 o'clock in the morning or at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you could not tell what time of day it was because the sun was so constantly covered with this thick cloud. And the days that the sun did shine or something did pop through, I remember just being such an awesome, wonderful thing. This year, we know we will probably have lots of weather and lots of things will happen, but looking for the silver lining is going to be so important. So last week I talked about my journey to be my best self, and currently that means building the muscle of consistency. So if you want to listen to that episode, pop back. But this week, I think, ties right into that because it's really talking about optimism and gratitude. And I think when you combine those two things, I think that is where you find silver linings, when you can be optimistic and also be grateful despite the fact that it's still cloudy outside. So when I looked up silver linings, it comes from the proverb, every cloud has a silver lining. And it's really just the prospect of hope and comfort during a gloomy situation. And, when things are hard or scary or difficult or cloudy, we can choose to look for the silver lining instead and just really decide what we focus on. So a couple of thoughts about silver linings. What I really believe and see is that silver linings, you have to look for them. They aren't the most obvious thing when you're facing a storm or when you look at clouds. It's not the biggest thing. What's really in your face is clouds, it's darkness, it's hard things. They're bigger and the clouds are bigger and commanding. So our default would be not to see the good things or the things we can be grateful for. I looked up found another quote that said, too many people miss the silver lining because they're expecting gold. And I thought about that, and to me, it really means that we can miss the good things that are in front of us because they don't look like what we were expecting or what we were wanting. So a couple examples from my life this year. Easton is my oldest, and he's going to be starting middle school this last fall. And I was really excited for him and really scared. I knew he was excited, glad to be getting out of elementary school, starting the new, bigger school. And we'd been looking forward to it, but I also knew middle school was really hard. And there's just a lot of things happening with fitting in and finding friends and things like that. So before we knew what was going to happen for our school year, I had just optimistically been preparing him for going back and starting middle school the way that he typically would. He ended up going with a little bit of a varied schedule, but they still started school. But I really was like talking him up. I'm like pumping him up. I'm like, this is your opportunity to really find new friends. Like, I really want to encourage you to introduce yourself to people. Say hi. Remember something about the person that you met the day before. So when you see them in class the next day, you can say, hey, and commit people's names to memory and just put yourself out there. And I was really trying to be like, okay, he's going to find a good group of friends. This is going to be great. And then with the pandemic, middle school just did not start the way that either of us were expecting. He did get to go to school 2 days a week, but then he's still home 3 days a week virtual. And so I was so crushed because here it was like pumping him up to find new friends and to find his group and to find his groove. And then he is stuck at home with a babysitter, the dog, the 2-year-old, and only gets to go to school 2 days a week. And when he does go to school, he's in a pod of about 13 kids, and those are the only kids he sees all week. And so it's just luck of the draw, make friends with those 13 kids. So I know that everybody in the country, everyone in the world had a weird school experience this year. None of it went the way that we thought. But his situation was just more on my heart because he's my oldest and was getting ready to start something so new. And then as we've gone through this year, I've started to say, okay, like, what are the silver linings? What can I be grateful for? And I am actually really grateful for this like smaller micro middle school experience because he really has been protected from a lot of the things I was scared of for him. It's not this gigantic school he has to go find his way around. It's not a million kids. There's not the opportunity for teasing or for being left out so much. It's like everybody's together and it's a little bit more of a smaller unified group. And so I think he's actually done really well. His grades have been good and all that, but he is really happy going to school and feels like he has friends. And so I guess that means it accomplished what I wanted it to accomplish. Other silver lining, he's also been home to help take care of our 2 puppies that we got this year and been able to spend time with his 2-year-old brother, who would typically be just home by himself with a babysitter. So another thing that I had to look for this year was as our company, Nickel and Suede, has grown over the years. We've had years of just incredible growth. And this year we had set a goal to grow, and I really wanted to hit like 100% of what our goal was. And as the year was going by with COVID and with the stores being closed and then being able to open, all the things, I just started to see like that number like slipping away. And it was so frustrating to me. But then at the end of the year, really looked at things and it was like, okay, we didn't hit 100%. But the silver lining is we still are a business. We still have all of our employees. We still grew some. And like so many good things happened in our business this year. So the goal that I was looking for was these goals we put on paper, but things happen. And so I had to look for other good things that definitely need to be so grateful for and can make up for all of that. So silver linings can be opportunities after a failure. They can be being forced to pivot or change your direction because of something like a pandemic. This year, masks are a thing. We've all had to wear masks for a long time. Masks and earrings don't go as well together as it sounds. It's really hard to wear a big earring with a mask for some people. And so I still do it. Our customers still do it. Totally still possible. But we aren't a category that grew by a bajillion % this year. We weren't a mask company and we weren't like a sweatpants company. And so we really had to fight for what we did get. And it also has really helped us reimagine and think about what are our future products? What does the future of Nickel and Suede look like? And I think that's a really positive thing. We may have stayed stuck in our lane in what we were doing if we hadn't been challenged by, okay, well, what if masks stick around? Or our earrings, all we want to do I'm not going to answer that question right now, but it forced us to ask ourselves questions. And I think that's important. Silver linings, I think, can be people in your life. There have probably been people in your life in the last year who really did make all the difference for your year. One of them is our babysitter. I was able to find a nanny this summer who stayed with us, who has been a lifesaver. Like, I could not be working and trying to figure out how to survive a pandemic as a business without somebody helping so much with our family. And she has been awesome. We also had somebody last year who came and consulted with us for a couple of months and helped us get the Dallas store open. And he had that availability because of the pandemic and at lower work hours at his regular job. And that was such a huge blessing for us because his expertise came in at just the right time when we really needed somebody to make that up. And so I think we can be the person that's a silver lining for other people, but I think we can really show appreciation for the people in our lives who showed up last year. Last thing I would say is I think silver linings can just be a change that we start to see in ourselves. When things are cloudy and dark and really hard, I mean, honestly, like the time that we lived in Seattle was a really hard time for me. It can really make us humble, and it really can make us grateful. Sometimes struggles and hard things can pull out the worst in us, but sometimes it can pull out the best and really knock us down enough to make us more teachable, willing to ask for help, willing to consider how we need to operate differently to be successful in a new environment. So things I've been considering lately is like, okay, what's my relationship with my phone or with social media? Is it helping me be who I want to be? How do I show up for other people? Did I get like really selfish this year with all of the things that I needed to do to protect myself and my family? What are my priorities? How do I spend my day and my time? Do those things match up? So we all know somebody who can see the good in all situations and points out the silver linings. And those people are magnetic. It's so nice to be around those people because it feels like there's hope, there's light, there's goodness. And so I would challenge you through this year that we know will probably be not a lot different from last year, at least in the short term, to start training that muscle of looking for the good, looking for things to be grateful for, even during the hard times. And that those really are the silver linings that can help us to feel happy and good no matter what is going on around us. It kind of can keep us good on the inside. So thanks so much for listening. I hope this helped and maybe struck a new thought with you and on your path to becoming your best self. Thank you to everybody who leaves reviews and subscribes. That really does help the podcast to get new listeners, to get traction, and to get shared. So would love for you to leave a review and leave a comment on silver linings you saw last year or things that you're looking for right now. So thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening today to With Kilee Nickels. I hope that today you felt empowered to take one more step towards living the best version of you. Tune in next week for another episode, and in the meantime, you can find us elsewhere on the internet. You can find me on Instagram at Kilee Nickels and at Nickel and Suede. You can also find us at nickelandswade.com. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.